Hi guys, today's main focus is to find the equation of a line. In order for us to find the equation of a line, we need to use the point slope formula. When we find the equation of a line, we have to be told in which form should we write the equation. Should we write it in standard form or should we write it in slope-intercept form? So again, we have different ways to write an equation of a line. We can put it in standard form, namely ax plus by equals c. In English, variables on one side, constants on the other, and it's implied that you have integer coefficients. We can also write it in slope-intercept form, namely y equals mx plus b, where m represents the slope and b represents the y-intercept. So let's go ahead, open this up with fun problem number 1. So the directions read, write the equation in standard form, use a positive coefficient for x. So this is what I'm thinking. Okay, standard form, ax plus by equals c. Fantastic. Variables on one side, constant in the other. So it doesn't really matter how you decide to attack this problem as long as you put it in this form. So we have some options. We can distribute the 1/4 or we can wipe out the fractions. It's really a personal choice. I think that if we didn't have this fraction on the left side, I'll be like, you know what, let's just go ahead distribute the 1/4. But there's something about having fractions on both sides that kind of throws off my game. So with your permission, instead of distributing the 1/4, we're going to go ahead try to wipe out the fractions. So our denominators are 3 and 4. Last time I checked, the least common denominator between 3 and 4 is 12. So let me go ahead speak to myself. And then we're going to try to wipe out the fractions by multiplying both sides by the common denominator just found, namely 12. So we're going to multiply the left by 12, and then we're going to multiply the right by 12. So how much work should you show me? It's really up to you. You know, I'm going to show you everything, but I understand that you can do some computations in your head. Product of 12 and y will give us 12y. Product of 12 and 1/3, you can go straight to the simplified product, or you can show me your work. That's what I'm going to do. So that will give us plus 12 times 1/3 equals, on the right side, 12 and 4 have a common factor of 4, or I can just say 4 goes into 12 3 times. And then that will leave us with 3 times x minus 3. Let's go ahead, take our time, simplify the remaining products, and that way we can confirm that yes, we did indeed wipe out the fractions. So on the left side, we have 12y plus 3 goes into 12 4 times plus 4 is equal to, no more fractions, so no more drama. On the right side, when we distribute the 3, product of 3 and x is 3x. Product of 3 and -3 is -9. Fantastic. So fractions are gone. Don't forget what is your objective. Your objective is to write this equation in standard form. So x, y equals constant. We cannot read each other's minds, so we may take slightly different steps, and that is okay as long as whatever we do to both sides is the same, we'll get the same answer. For me, I'm more concerned with variables first, so I'm gonna move the 3x. So if we choose to move the 3x, let's go ahead subtract it from both sides, and that will leave us with -3x plus 12y. Bring down the rest of the equation. Plus 4 is equal to -9. Fantastic. Now we want to isolate those variable terms. So if you're not with the variable, you gotta go. So to undo the addition, same speech. Let's go ahead, subtract it from both sides. And then that will leave us with -3x plus 12y is equal to -13. Under normal circumstances, this will be okay. Okay, why? Because it is in standard form. However, the book wants us to be an overachiever. Why? Because they not only does the book want you to write your answer in standard form, they also want you to use a positive coefficient for x. So pretty much they want us to start on a positive note. So then I'm like, okay, well, how can I make the -3x look like a positive 3x? You have two options. So option 1, multiply it by -1, or option 2, divide it by -1. Let's go ahead and write down our equation again. So we have negative 3x plus 12y equals negative 13. And let's make the book happy by following the directions. If we choose the division route, let's go ahead divide both sides by negative 1. I'm not good at distribution, so that's why I prefer the division. So that will leave us with 3x minus 12y equals 13, and then let's go ahead box our answers with confidence. So now we have it in standard form. X term, y term equals constant. No more fractions. I was gonna say no more decimals. No more fractions. And we started off with the positive coefficient of x, so we have followed the directions to the T. Fantastic. So now that was a quick review on how to write an equation in standard form. So let's get to the heart of this section, which is actually finding the equation of a line. Give me a sec. Okay guys, so let's go ahead and introduce another cool formula. So we have the point slope formula. So the point slope formula reads y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. And the question is, when do we use it? Okay, we are going to use this formula to find the equation of a line. Okay, so when do we use it again? When do we use the point slope formula? We use it to find the equation of a line. But the question is, what ingredients do we need to find the equation of a line? To find the equation of a line, what you need is the words that are in the title. 1, you need a point, and then 2, you need a slope. So if you have a point and you have a slope, then guess what? You have enough information to find the equation of a line. So I know you can read it, but let's break it down with all these variables. Now, if your equation is meant to have both x and y variables, the x and y without the subscripts, those are the x and y from your equation, so you don't touch. M, from back in the day, that's the notation that we use for slope. x1, y1, what is that? Those are going to be the coordinates of whatever point you have. So we're going to do, I think about 6 problems. Hopefully that will give you a good workout. So let's do this. So fun problem number 2, the directions read, find the equation of the line satisfying the given conditions. Write the equation in slope-intercept form. Okay, so in short, we're supposed to find the equation of a line given this information. Now, because there are different ways to write the equation of a line, we have to be told in which form should we write it. And in this case, we are asked to write it in slope-intercept form. All right, let's knock this out. So find the equation of a line with slope 2/5 passing through the point 5, -1. This is like a lot of words for me, so I'm going to write down the facts. So what do I know? We know that the slope is 2/5 and that the line has to pass through this point, 5, -1. Okay, so to find the equation of a line, what ingredients do I need? So again, we're going to use the point slope formula. So to find the equation of a line, we need a point and a slope. We have a point, we have a slope, we have the ingredients that we need to make the cake. So let's do this. So for me, I'm a big fan of writing whatever formula I'm going to use, even if I have it nailed, because you know, like when we get a test, sometimes we get a little bit nervous and we forget our name. So let's go ahead and write out the formula. So point slope formula, y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. Let's do this. For my peace of mind, I'm going to go ahead label this ordered pair. So I'm going to put x, y. I guess technically I should put x1, y1, but since I don't have a second point, I don't find it vital to say that's my first point. I just got to remember, m is my slope, x1, y1, those are the coordinates of whatever point they give me, and then x, y, those are going to be the variables in my equation if my equation is meant to have both x and y variables. So let's do this. So we have y minus y1, the value of y is -1, and we're going to and that's going to equal m, our slope, times x minus x1, which in this case it's 5. Fantastic. So on the left side, subtracting -1 is the same as adding 1. So we're going to write this as y plus 1 equals whatever you want on the right side. Now, you have some options. So option 1, you can distribute the 2/5, or option 2, you can work your magic and get rid of the fraction to begin with, kind of like the way we did the earlier problem. With your permission, I'm just going to suck it up and keep the fraction. Product of 2/5 and x will give us 2/5 x. product of 2/5 and -5, I think that's -2, but let me bust out a thinking area. So a thinking area is exactly what it sounds like, an area where I think. So we have 2/5 times -5, 5 goes into itself once, and yeah, that's -2. You can punch it in, okay? Do what you gotta do. So this is an equation of a line with this slope that passes through this point, but unfortunately we cannot leave it as is because it's not in the desired form. We are asked to write it in slope-intercept form. So remember, slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. All these forms, I know. To isolate the y term, let's go ahead and subtract 1 from both sides, and that will leave us with y equals 2/5 x minus 3. Cool. Now, if you're an overachiever, let's go ahead and check our answers, because who knows, maybe we have one of those instructors where they don't give us partial credit. So this is how it's gonna go down. First of all, I want to know, is my answer reasonable? The problem states that our slope should be 2/5. So if the slope of our equation, if it's not 2/5, I'm gonna start crying. But no, I'm gonna save my tears because I'm good. But the question is, but the thing is, there are plenty of lines that have a slope of 2/5. But there's only one that has this slope, and that goes through this point. So what I want you to do, I need you to verify if 5, -1 is a solution of our equation. So let me go ahead and write down our equation. So we have y equals 2/5 x minus 3. And then the point that we're going to test out is 5, -1. Again, it has to check out, else we have to find our mistake and fix it. So let me go ahead and label this because you know my style. Anytime I'm going to substitute a number for something, I like to label it just so I know where these numbers are coming from. So we have y equals 2/5 times x, which in this case is 5, minus 3. Okay, and I guess I was a little bit nervous because I forgot to substitute a -1 for y. Okay, where's the whiteout when you need it? Students, this is where we use pencil. It gives us the liberty to make a mistake. I already passed this class, so yeah. Okay, that looks really tacky, so let me go ahead and rewrite it. -1 equals, and might as well simplify this. Quotient of 5 in itself gives us 1, and that will give us 2. Last time I checked, 2 minus 3 is -1, and the question of the hour is 5, -1 a solution of our equation? And it is, because when we plugged it in, it gives us a true statement. So I'm jumping for joy. Fantastic. 1 down, I think like 5 more to go. So let's bear with me. All right, problem B. So it says find the equation of a line that passes through the points -5, 6, and 2, 3. Okay. So we know that our equation has to be in slope-intercept form. Fantastic. Unfortunately, we don't have a slope, okay? All right. Now, we're going to use the point-slope formula to find the equation of a line. Again, when do we use the point-slope formula? We use it when we want to find the equation of a line. What ingredients do we need to find the equation of a line? The title tells you. Oh, I guess I'm cheating, okay? So to find the equation of a line, you need a point and you need a slope. So coming to our problem, we have plenty of points, but we have no slope. So our first objective is to find the slope. So let me just put find the slope. So we're gonna do a total of 6 problems, but they're not all gonna be the same, okay? Because we need to put a little bit of spice in our life. So to find the equation of a line, we need a point and we need a slope. Too many points, no slope. But to find the slope of a line, we need 2 points, and we have them. Okay, so let me go ahead and write down the points. So we have -5, 6, and then we have 2, 3. Okay, so if we want to find the slope, let's go ahead and bust out the slope formula. So we have m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. We have too many points on here, so let me go ahead and label them. So I'm going to say this is my first point, and 2, 3 will be our second point. Fantastic. So let's go ahead, plug and check. So we have m equals y2, which is 3, minus y1, or 6, over difference of the x's. That will give us 2, minus the other x, which will give us -5. Let's keep it going. Difference of 3 and 6 will give us -3. And if you see me making a technical difficulty, please stop me or email me. Difference of 2 and -5 is the same as adding the opposite, or the same as adding 5, so that will give us 7. I'm going to go ahead highlight this, okay, because it's a big part of the puzzle. So our goal was to find the equation of a line, but remember, to find the equation of a line, we need a point and a slope. So that's how we had to find the slope. Now we're going to find the equation. Find the equation. So to find the equation of a line, we need a point and a slope. So the slope from our problem is -3/7, and then which point should we pick? It does not matter. Okay, so assuming we didn't make a mistake, we should get the same answer regardless. 2, 3 catches my eye as opposed to this scary number, so I'm gonna go ahead and use it. But if you're like, no, I'm an overachiever, go ahead, use the -4. To find the equation of a line, we're gonna use the point slope formula. In order for us to use a point slope formula, we need a point and a slope. So we have y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. Let's plug in chug. So let me label this ordered pair x, y. So we have y minus y1, which is the y coordinate of 3, is equal to m, which is -3/7, times x minus x1. So it's the x coordinate. Cool. I'm gonna say this now before I forget. I shouldn't say this, but I am, because I need to confess. Some students don't like this technique. Okay, some students don't like to use the point slope formula to find the equation of a line because they say it takes too long. Okay, so that is the I guess that's like the popular, ¿cómo se dice? Queja, complaint. Okay, the students will say, oh no, I found a faster technique, you know, we used the slope intercept form, and I'm like, yeah, me too. Okay, but the problem is a lot of students were following that other technique, but they never really finished it, so there was a disconnect. Okay, so although using the point slope formula may seem a little bit longer, it is the safer route because you don't have to worry about you didn't finish it. Okay, there's my like 10 seconds of venting. Cool. All right, coming to our problem. So our game plan, find equation of a line that goes through these 2 points. This is an equation of a line that goes through these 2 points, but unfortunately it's not in slope intercept form. So you have some options. Option 1, get rid of the fraction and then isolate the y, or option 2, sack it up and keep the fraction. It's really a personal choice. I'm gonna face my fears, so I'm gonna keep the fraction. So we have y minus 3 equals -3/7 times x is -3/7 times x. Negative number times negative number is a positive number, and 3/7 times 2, I'm gonna cheat, I think it gives us 6/7. Fantastic. I didn't cheat, I used my calculator. All right, keeping our cool, to isolate the y, let's go ahead, add 3 to both sides, and that will give us y equals -3/7 x. 3 plus 6/7 will give us 3 and 6/7. That's my answer, and I'm sticking to it. Okay, if I can read the book's mind, I'm almost positive that they don't put a mixed number because it looks kind of weird. So the book may write the mixed number as an improper fraction. Who has a calculator? That's gonna be 21 plus 6. I think it's 27. Don't quote me on that. Okay, email me if I made a mistake. Cool. Now, can you write it as a decimal? I mean, you sure can, but it's not gonna give you a clean decimal, so I will keep it as a fraction. Again, decimals are fine as long as you don't round. But someone asked me, how did I get 3 and 6/7? Oh, because I just added. So I'm gonna show you how to find the sum slightly different. Okay, I'm gonna bust out a thinking area. Okay, so we have 6/7 plus 3. So we have 6/7 plus 3. Again, you can use a calculator. Okay, in this case, we're gonna find the LCD. There's only one denominator, so that is the winner. Let's write those equivalent fractions. I'm gonna write 3 as 3/1, and then when we multiply top and bottom by 7, that will give us 21/7. So we have 6/7 plus 21/7. That gives us 27/7. Okay, Oops, sorry, I boxed this prematurely. All right, so that's it. So the question is, should we check it? Of course, because we're overachievers. Okay, so let's do this. So under normal circumstances, I will say, oh, to check it, let's see if 2/3 is a solution of our equation. But this is the thing, we cannot use the same point to check. Why not? The reason why we cannot use the same point to check is because the book did not give us the slope. We had to do a little digging. But the question is, what if we made a mistake with the slope? If we use that same point to check, then we may get a false positive or whatever I'm trying to say. Okay, so let's go ahead check, but we're going to use the other point. Okay, so let me zoom in. So must use the other point to check. Fantastic. So let me just put CK for check. So our equation is y equals -3/7 x plus 27/7. And then the point that we're going to use, what was it? -5, 6. All right, fantastic. This is our answer, so it needs to be correct, else I'm going to have a situation. So the value of y in this case is 6, so I need 6 to equal 6. Okay, so we have -3/7 times the value of x, which is -5, plus 27/7. Go ahead, use a calculator. Remember, for our course, a graphing calculator is not required. You see me in the videos using the graphing calculators, well, that's because it looks nicer on the screen. But this is the, if we were in the actual classroom, this is the calculator that I would be using. Okay, a non-graphing scientific calculator. It cost me like 10 bucks. Well, with inflation right now, it could be like 12 bucks. All right, so let's do this. Coming to our problem, let's simplify the right side and make sure that we get 6. So we have 6 equals, product of two negative numbers will give us a positive number. That will give us 15/7. Bring down the rest of the problem. Okay, sum of 15/7 and 27/7. 32. I should have it in front of me, but I didn't prepare. Sorry. That should give us 42/7. Oh, I'm crying. Tears of happiness. Why? Because 42 divided by 7, surprise, gives us 6. But if you're like me and you want to finish it off, then go for it. Okay, so I'm jumping for joy. I'm just not going to show you on the camera, but we totally nailed it. Okay, so we're going to do a total of 6 problems. That was the second problem. I have 4 more. Stay tuned because you're going to like them. Okay guys, so I found my next 2 problems. So what are we doing? Same thing. We're going to find the equation of a line, and we have to make sure that the equation is in slope-intercept form. And to make it a little bit more spicier, we'll throw in the word parallel in there, and then for the final 2, we'll switch it up to perpendicular. Okay, so find the equation of a line that is parallel to 3x minus 5y equals -7. And goes through the point -8, -2. Remember, to find the equation of a line, we're going to use the point slope formula, or one way to find the equation of a line. Okay, so to find the equation of a line, we're going to use the point slope formula, but in order for us to use the point slope formula, we need to have a point and a slope. Even if you use another technique, you still need a point and a slope. Cool, so we have a point, but we don't have a slope. Well, not explicitly. We don't have a slope, but they give us a clue as to how our slope should look like. Since our line should be parallel to this line, we need to make sure that the slope fits the criteria. What's so special about parallel lines? They need to have the same slope. So what do we need to do? We need to find the equation of this bad boy, and since our line is parallel, we'll use the same slope. Okay, so we have 3x minus 5y equals -7. Let's go ahead and write this in slope-intercept form so we can then easily identify the slope. Okay, so to isolate the y term, let's go ahead and subtract 3x from both sides, and that will leave us with -5y equals -3x minus 7. Fantastic. To finish it off, let's go ahead and divide both sides by -5. And then when we do, that will leave us with y equals 3/5 x plus 7/5. So now the question is, what is the slope of this bad boy? So the slope of this equation is 3/5. And then what's so special about our parallel line? Well, the slopes need to be the same, so we're also gonna use 3/5. Okay, so let me just write same slope. Okay, let's go ahead, bring it together. So what are we gonna use? We're gonna use the same slope of 3/5. What else do we know about this problem? So our line needs to go through -8, -2. Okay, what are the ingredients that we need to find the equation of a line? We need a point and we need a slope. We have a point. Thanks to our detective skills, we got a slope. Let's plug and chug. So the point slope formula, say it with me. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Say it like no one's watching. Alright, cool. So let's go ahead, plug and chug the coordinates of our point and take it from there. So we have y minus y value of -2 is equal to the slope of 3/5 times x minus x value, which is -8. Cool. So on the left side, subtracting -2 is the same as adding 2, and then you have options. So option 1, distribute the 3/5 or the slope, or option 2, wipe out the fractions and multiply both sides by 5. Both techniques are great. Depending on the mood, sometimes I wipe out the fractions, sometimes I don't. I'm going to try to be brave and just leave it there. Okay, so we have 3/5 times x is just 3/5 times x. Before I keep it going, subtracting -8 is the same as adding 8. 3/5 times 8 will give us 24/5. Well, with the calculator, it's 4.8, I think. Okay, don't quote me on that. So we take our time. Let's go ahead, isolate the y so we can put it in the desired form, slope-intercept form. So that will give us y equals 3/5 x, and then followed by some cool stuff. Who has a calculator? Okay, I don't. So for this one, I can't do it in my head. I'm not gonna pretend like I can. 24/5 minus 2. Let's go ahead, write these equivalent fractions. The least common denominator is 5. So we're gonna multiply the second number top and bottom by 5, and that will leave us with 24/5 minus 2 is the same as 10/5. And then that will give us 14/5. So it doesn't take that long to do it by hand. And if you don't want to do it by hand, then punch it in. Okay, so 24/5 minus 2, thanks to our hard work, gives us 14/5. Cool, so that's our answer, and we're sticking to it. As a student, these problems were always hard for me. And all the problems were hard, but with practice, you know, you get better. But especially like these, find the equation with parallel, find the equation with perpendicular. So this is how it's going to go down. We're going to do 2 with parallel and 2 with perpendicular, and then we're going to be good with this unit. So just bear with me, okay? Problem B. Find the equation of a line that is parallel to this bad boy and goes through -1, 3. Okay, to find the equation of a line, you know the drill. You need a point and a slope. We have the point, we don't have a slope, but we have clues. Okay, our line should be parallel, so we're gonna use the same slope. Use the same slope. Okay, fantastic. So let's find the slope of this guy. So we have -x plus 3y equals 12. Let's put this in slope-intercept form. So to isolate the y term, let's go ahead, add x to both sides. And that will leave us with 3y is equal to x plus 12. Fantastic. Cool. Alright, to finish it off, to get rid of the times 3, let's go ahead, divide both sides by 3. And that will leave us with y equals, let me go ahead, pencil in a special effect 1, and we're going to write this as 1/3 times x. Okay, so that will give us 1/3 times x plus 4. So the slope of this equation is 1/3. Now, what slope are we going to use? Our lines need to be parallel. In order for the lines to be parallel, we need to use the same slope. Use the same slope. Okay, so the same slope will be 1/3. Okay, so to find the equation of a line, we need a point and we need a slope. We got both now, so let's go ahead and earn our full credit. So we have the slope of 1/3 and the point of negative 1/3. Let's take it all the way. I'm going to go ahead and write down the point slope formula. Y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. And I said it before, I need you to write those. No, I need you know. I highly recommend that you write those formulas for all the problems that you do in class, including your homework. And if you do that, you can't forget. You just can't. Okay, it's kind of like those songs. You know those songs by rote memory because you say them over and over. Okay, let's plug and check. So we have y minus y1, so will be the y coordinate of 3 is equal to slope of 1/3 times x minus x coordinate of negative 1. We nailed it. So again, the options, distribute the slope or wipe out the denominators and then work your magic. I'm just going to keep the fraction. So on the left side, there's no magic. Let's go ahead and distribute the 1/3. 1/3 times x will give us 1/3 times x. Subtracting negative 1 is the same as adding 1. And that will give us 1/3 times 1, which is just 1/3. Fantastic. For the home stretch, let's put this in slope-intercept form. So to undo the subtraction, let's go ahead and add 3 to both sides. And that will leave us with y equals 1/3 x plus 3 1/3. 3 plus 1/3 will give us 3 1/3. You can put it like this. You can put it as a decimal. Just don't round. But the book, they're not going to leave it like this. They'll put it as improper fraction, which is 10/3. How did I get the 3 1/3? I don't know. I just guessed, okay? But I'll show you how you can get the 10/3. Okay, so in a thinking area, so we have 1/3 plus 3. The only denominator that we see is a 3, so that's going to be the least common denominator. So let's go ahead, take our time, and write those equivalent fractions. So for the second number, we're going to multiply top and bottom by 3. So that will give us 1/3 plus 3, or 9/3. And then we take our time. The sum of 1 and 9 will give us 10. Okay, so then no shame. Okay, always ask away. The worst thing you can do to yourself is not ask a question, because as a student, I think it's tough. Okay, I don't know why. I do know why, because we're trained to think that we're supposed to know everything, but that's a lie. You're not born knowing everything. That's why you're in the class. Okay, it's a learning process, so please ask away. The worst thing you can do to yourself is go to the test and then be like, oh man, I should have asked this question in class. It's too late. Okay, so coming back to the problem, we're gonna do a total of 6 problems. We have 4. Bear with me. Okay, the final 2, they're gonna be finding the equation of a line and something about perpendicular. Give me a sec. Okay guys, so let the countdown begin with our last 2 problems. So the speech. The directions are to find the equation of a line satisfying the given conditions, and then we are asked to write the equations in slope-intercept form. To find the equation of a line, we're going to use the point slope formula. To find the equation of a line, to make this cake, we need a point and a slope. So problem A, find the equation of a line that is perpendicular to 6x plus 3y equals 7 and goes through the point 4, -2. So again, to find the equation of a line, we need a point and we need a slope. They don't give us the slope flat out, but they give us clues. Okay, our line needs to be perpendicular to this bad boy. What's so special about a perpendicular line? So looking at my notes, because I don't copy, okay, looking at my notes, our slopes need to be opposite reciprocal. So the first things first, we need to find the equation of this bad boy, so then we can make the call what the slope of the perpendicular line should be. So let's do this. So the equation reads 6x plus 3y equals 7. Work your magic, write this in slope-intercept form. So we solve for y. We subtract, in order to isolate the y term, let's go ahead and subtract 6x from both sides, and that will leave us with 3y equals -6x plus 7. You know what I'm going to say? Fantastic. Okay, I think it's better than saying so. Okay, to finish it off, to get rid of the times 3, let's go ahead and divide both sides by 3. And then that will give us y equals negative 2x plus 7/3. So with that being said, the slope of this equation is negative 2, and then the question of the hour is what is going to be the slope of our line. Our line should be perpendicular, so we need to make sure that the slopes are opposite reciprocals. Let me put a little love note. Perpendicular slopes are opposite reciprocals. Okay, so for a perpendicular line, the slopes need to be opposite reciprocals. So the opposite of negative 2 is positive 2, and the reciprocal of 2 is 1/2. Okay, so altogether the opposite reciprocal of negative 2 is positive 1/2, or 1/2. So this is the slope that we're going to use. So let's bring it down together. To find the equation of a line, we need a point and a slope. We had a point, and thanks to our detective skills, we now have a slope. So we have m equals 1/2, slope is 1/2, and then the point for negative 2. We have what we need to find the equation of a line. So now let's go ahead, bust out the point slope formula, which is y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. Do what you gotta do, label or don't label, but you know the speech, I will always label, because it's comforting to my eyes. Like right now I'm hot, but let's just say like I don't see this like in 2 or 3 weeks, I'm gonna be like, man, like where did this number come from? But if I speak to myself as much as possible, I will not forget. Okay, so we have y minus y1, so that's our y coordinate of negative 2, is equal to our slope of 1/2 times x minus x1, namely 4. Let's keep it going. Subtracting negative 2 is the same as adding 2, and you can distribute the slope or wipe out the fractions by multiplying both sides by 2. I'm going to keep the fraction. Product of 1/2 and x is 1/2 times x. Product of 1/2 and negative 4 is negative 2. Spit it out, punch it in, or bust out a thinking area on the side. To finish it off, because we are asked to write it in slope-intercept form, let's go ahead and isolate that y term by subtracting 2 from both sides, and that will leave you with y equals 1/2 x minus 4. I checked this answer at my house. Cool, fantastic. So again, these kinds of problems were always tricky for me, so I'm hoping that if I do a few exercises, maybe they won't be tricky for you. Okay, all right, for the grand finale, find the equation of a line that is perpendicular to 5x plus 2y equals 18 and goes through the point to negative 7. Okay, so our lines need to be perpendicular. To find the equation of a line, we need a point and we need a slope. The point we have, the slope we do not, but they give us clues. Okay, our lines need to be perpendicular, so we are going to find the slope of this line, and then make sure that the lines are perpendicular. So we need to make sure that the slopes are opposite reciprocals. So we have 5x plus 2y equals 18. Work your magic, write this in slope-intercept form. So let's isolate that y term. If you're not with the y, you gotta go. So let's go ahead and subtract 5x from both sides, and that will leave us with 2x equals negative 5x plus 18. To finish it off, what did I do? Sorry, I don't know how to copy. So I can't get over how many times I say so. So if you hear me laughing, that's the reason why. To finish it off, to get rid of the times 2, let's go ahead, divide both sides by 2, and then that will leave us with y equals negative 5/2 times x plus 9. Let's identify the slope of this equation, so then we can find the slope of the desired equation. The slope of this bad boy is negative 5/2. Now I need to know what is the slope of the perpendicular line. Okay, the slopes need to be opposite reciprocals. So let me speak to myself. Opposite reciprocal. Okay, so opposite of negative 5/2 is positive 5/2, and the reciprocal of 5/2 is 2/5. Okay, so this is the slope that we're going to use, so please be careful. Bring it all together, we have the slope. Thanks to our hard work, they gave us the point. So let's plug and chug for the last time this unit. Okay, to find the equation of a line, we need a point and we need a slope. To find the actual equation, we're going to use the point slope formula. So we have y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. Okay, so thank yourself, okay, because you got this. You're totally going to ace this test. I know you will. Okay, I have faith. So let's plug and chug. Y minus y value of -7 is equal to the slope of 2/5 times x minus x1, which is 2. I need to make sure I write better. Okay, so you have some options. You can distribute the slope, or you can get rid of the fractions by multiplying both sides by 5. Both options are great. It's really your personal choice. On the left side, when we continue to simplify, subtracting -7 is the same as adding 7. We keep going forward. 2/5 times x is 2/5 times x. Keep it going. Next product, 2/5 times -2 will give us -4/5. Again, punch it in, free-handed, do what you gotta do. To finish it off, let's go ahead, subtract 7 from both sides. And then that will give us y equals 2/5 x minus 7 and 4/5. Don't think I'm a genius. I'm not. I'm really not. Okay. The only reason why I was able to add some of these is because the signs, like, they're both negative, so we add them up, keep the sign. But if I were to do it by hand, you know, as an improper fraction, I would have gotten 2/5 x minus 35/39. Sorry, I was thinking. Okay, so this is how you'll see it in your book. I don't really care. Okay, you can leave it as a mixed number. You can write it as an improper fraction or as a decimal. I think it's like 7.8 negative. Okay, but I'll show you the work. Okay, so if we're going to do the work, -4/5 minus 7, let's identify the LCD, which in this case it's the only one that we see, which is 5. Okay, take your time, write those equivalent fractions. Okay, let's go ahead, multiply the second number, top and bottom, by 5. So that will leave us with -4/5 minus 35/5, and then that difference will give us -39/5. Okay, so do what you gotta do. Okay, so that is it. So we totally did it, but you know what, we need to do some word problems too. So I'll be back, but let's take a 10-minute break.